Rob, are you playing that Zelda game?
The Legend of Zelda.
Oh, stop. Because today we're talking about indie games.
Guess I better clean out my fridge.
So have you guys ever played Secret of Mana? I love Secret of Mana. Apparently, it's not independent.
No.
That's exactly what we're gonna talk about today.
We're talking about indie games, as in games not necessarily produced by hundreds of people at big giant studios. Games that were produced by one or two or a very small team of very dedicated, passion-filled programmers, game designers.
Tears and blood type of indie games.
And no salary.
And no salary, that's right.
And no physical release, apparently. Because it is very difficult for some of these games to have a physical release.
Some of them, like, you're pointing over to Journey, which
this is not just
company.
Journey. This is like Flower, Journey, and Flow, right? So they waited for all three of these games.
Why don't you talk about that?
Well, okay. So I played Flower, because I saw my wife playing it one day. It's like you control a petal, and then you control the wind, that collects a bunch of flower petals and stuff like that. I'm like, what is this? I was like, this is stupid. Play Gears of War. This is dumb. And then she went to bed early, and I'm like... So I started playing Flower, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. The music is beautiful. It brought a lot of feelings, moe feelings into my heart. But it was a lot of fun, and the music was really cool. And then they released another game that I loved, was Journey. And
that's the game that got it for me. Journey, absolutely.
Well, the graphics and
the style,
the music that they used in Journey was phenomenal.
And just
I loved
the journey itself,
the spiritual aspect of the game.
Mm-hmm. So that's why it got me into these, and then this deserved a physical copy. I was like, I need a physical copy in case there's an Armageddon and I can't play my digital downloaded stuff. Don't fucking ask me why I'm still gonna have power to play my video games after Armageddon.
There's a generator on a bike.
Oh yeah, absolutely, my kids. Anyway,
so you're in front of me. It's back, and I've ranted about Mighty Number 9.
Oh, we know.
I love Mighty Number. Okay, Keiichi Inafune. He created this game after leaving Capcom, and he wanted to do something that was a spiritual successor to Mega Man. And he had $0 and 0 cents. So he went to Kickstarter and was like, hey, make this game. And this is, again, why it's kind of hard to call this an indie game, because he made, millions of dollars off Kickstarter to get this thing funded and add levels and things like that. Now, the end product...
And also, he came in with his name.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm the guy that made Mega Man. I want to make a Mega Man successor. Of course I'm going to give you money. Exactly. Take all my monies.
And same thing with...
give me a little plastic doll and I'll give you $100.
And same thing with Koji Iga, the guy who made Castlevania, with the new Bloodstained games. It's the same thing. It's not a Konami, but he wants to make a game in the same vein as Castlevania. So, sure, when that releases, that'll be an indie game. And hopefully it'll turn a little bit better than Mighty Number 9. But, sure, we'll see what happens. What about you?
Dear to my heart, actually my friend worked on the music. It's 2064 Read-Only Memories. So I've got a little Turing back there, which is a dystopian future.
Now, your friend, you mean Mello?
By Mello, yeah.
Who does our background music and who does our opening music.
Right.
Right.
Props. Shouts out to Mello. To Mello.
Yeah.
So yeah, he worked on the music in that. Midboss?
Yeah,
right?
Midboss is the production company that did Read-Only Memories. So it's sort of a dystopian future. It's a text-based sort of detective novel. They harken back to Snatcher in this game.
Yeah, totally not what I thought Snatcher was going to be.
Before we get too much further into this, explain to me, one, how is it that these are indie games when they are finding release on these major platforms? I mean, how hard is that to do?
So,
actually...
Well, that's where our friend comes in. Shane!
So Shane works at PlayStation, and, the PlayStation, even though it's, tightly, audited and, looked over, it is, in fact, an open market. So anyone can come in with a game, and as long as they make sure that it's functioning, it can go through the PlayStation Store and be released. And that's where a lot of these games come from. Another game I want to talk about is The Witness by Jonathan Blow, which you may have heard of Braid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Braid. Phenomenal. Love that game.
So Braid was fantastic. So last year, I believe, is when this game came out, The Witness. It's first-person perspective. It's him and his tiny little squad. But you go through and you solve these like really, I mean, actually kind of complex like puzzles. And as you do that, you open up gates throughout more of this big giant island that you're on. And the island and the art style is absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of in the same look and feel as like a cel-shaded Firewatch type thing. And it's the sense of exploration and puzzle solving is really nice. Like, my wife is into like hardcore puzzle games like Professor Layton, things like this. And it's those type of puzzles, except in first person, and like you can explore, and it's great. So Jonathan Blow is definitely one of these superstar indie developers that just set out and was like, I'm gonna do this by myself, and then like did it real big.
Have platforms like Steam and whatnot made this easier to access or harder?
They are easier on Steam, but I think they're actually starting to make it harder now, because basically the platform for Steam was overloaded with indie games. There's a lot of crap out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff too. So what they're basically saying is we're going to set this benchmark, and I think that's fairly recently. Tumelo was actually talking about it the other day on, I think, Twitter or Facebook. But you have to have so much money put forward to start the process of being an indie game on this platform, which will unfortunately knock a bunch of people that are trying to get an early start in.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, the PlayStation Store is curated, so we know that games are going to be like functional and say what they are, even if they're terrible, like the Black Tiger game, which we can totally talk about that another time. But like with Steam, there was a bunch of just junk out there that was polluting like actually good things and made good things hard to find.
It's like the iOS App Store, right? I mean, and
Anybody can release, but you're going to have to...
I think it's easier to release on that, though.
Well,
right,
you're talking about a platform.
There's literally like millions of apps to compete. Like back in the days when this was new, you got things like Temple Run. Like apparently the guy who made Temple Run used to work where I work. He was like, he got tired of working in software and went out and made millions of dollars with Temple Run. So, like, now, though, it's hard to get notice.
Right. Well, and that's, the main entry into indie gaming for me is that iOS, those games like Alto's Adventure or Monument Valley that are just a small, one or two, maybe, up to 10 people, but still, it's not a Microsoft, right?
Right.
It is really difficult to try to define what is, though, because you brought up Inafune, Mighty Number 9, who obviously has an unfair advantage by having a Kickstarter that people donated millions, right?
So does Koji Igarashi,
as opposed to the guys that made like, I don't know, Super Meatball or
Super Meat Boy.
Meat Boy, thank you,
Yeah.
or the guys
Which were
that
two guys.
forever was coding Fez, right? I mean, he was going crazy. He was like, I'm not doing it anymore. It took him like 7 years to do it because he was doing it all by himself.
Right.
And the game is a lot of fun. So there's obviously a big off balance in between what is independent, right? When I think of independent, I really think of the like three guys in a basement going, okay, we're gonna make a game. It might take 10 years, but we're gonna do it. As opposed to some of these people that have like, I really enjoyed. There was a little indie game, or it was a downloadable game called Shadow Complex. Shadow Complex was...
Speaking of Igarashi games, yeah.
So it was very Castlevania, it was Metroidvania, right? With the little Metal Gear thrown into it.
Yep.
Written by Peter David, one of my favorite comic book writers. And I think I just went into it because Peter David and the look of it. It was a 2D side-scroller, like I said, Metroidvania type of game. It was one of my favorite games released in... Gosh, it was 2009, I think.
Yeah.
And they just did a re-release of that game.
Even Nintendo, they have an initiative called the Nindies, where they're going out and they're getting things like Super Guacamelee and things like that, like
and
on the
they're throwing
platform.
some money
Wow,
way, so
they're
it can
real
actually
risk
produce.
takers going and offering somebody that has already made the game
Well,
successful on another platform. Hey, do you want to make it on a Nintendo?
I think the ideal for most of these big companies when they go after and take a look at some of these indie operations is they want people to push the boundaries, because most of our games are platform based or tactical. We have a very set standard like first person shooters. We have these.
Yeah.
Some of these indie games like Journey kind of push the envelope of what is art, what is game. Can you make a playable art piece?
And I feel the same way about Bastion. Bastion was the same kind of way. It was an actual
me, Braid was
role
kind of
play.
like that thing.
Braid was beautiful.
Yeah.
Like just the music. I listen to the music in Bastion when I draw. Like I love that soundtrack.
Fantastic.
It's phenomenal. And it was just one guy. Like he composed the music too. I mean, he didn't play every damn single instrument, but I'm saying like he
Right.
wrote the music and he wrote the game. and designed it. So
So there's two things I want to talk about, like with this. You're talking about pushing new genres. Do you remember back in the PlayStation games where Nintendo lost and PlayStation came in with their cheap media? So it cost like $3 to make a game and $33 to produce an N64 card. Obviously, a lot of people went to PlayStation. One of the advantages of that was that you can get more weird, risque type games.
Eurose, right? Is that what it was called? The programmable PlayStation?
Yeah, Eurose, yeah. So you could get one of those, like
And the game that came out of that was Devil Dice, which was an independent game, right?
Devil Dice, and then also just really weird games. You can get really random games and new types of genres from these games by people like sitting in their basement making stuff. For example, you could say that Firewatch. You like Firewatch, right? I want you to talk about this, but what is cool about there's a genre of games now that actually are telling a story. The first time I played Firewatch, I had never played anything like it and was convinced this is a new way to play games. Like, this is a new storytelling medium, like that Dragon Cancer, that, like, you know, that's a very sad story, very heart-wrenching story, but there's never anything like that's been done in a game.
Would you consider Minecraft as an indie game?
Well, initially, Minecraft came out from as a challenge, a 48-hour video game challenge.
Right.
What can I come up with really quickly? And this has morphed into one of the biggest freaking phenomenons in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Indie games can start out as indie and then blossom into something a little
But
bit
nothing
bigger.
has come close to that, though.
No.
Not right
Minecraft is a beast of its own.
Oh, yeah.
Toys of
Yeah,
Minecraft. That's
there's
insane.
toys of Minecraft.
And this retro look to Minecraft.
Yeah, and like the guy wasn't going to sell it until he's like, if you give me $2 million, wait, I don't have my Swedish accent.
I think it started out
$2 billion
basically
is what he
you-
said he'd sell it for, and then Microsoft was like, here
Done.
you go.
And it basically started out when I purchased it was just basically you pay what you want to get the game.
Right. And that made a lot of money for Notch. I'll have to try and work on my Notch accent later. But yeah, there you go. That's an example of an indie game that went really crazy huge.
Stardew Valley, which is done by Cuttlefish.
Yes.
I think it's Productions. I may be wrong on that. It may be Studios too.
Oh, don't worry.
Studios
We'll
or
put something
Productions.
here.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We got you.
But it's more of a Harvest Moon style game. Very relaxing. Oh, you're thinking, it's another Farmville.
No. Stardew Valley has such a huge following.
So does Harvest Moon, dude. Doesn't mean I'm going to play it.
No, it's really intriguing, the relationships of the NPCs
there's
and things like that.
A lot more to it than just.
I'll tell you what. I'll
farming.
play it if you guys read Transformers comics. Anyway, go ahead. What's the
Deal.
next thing
Deal.
you want to talk about?
We'll do it. You want to bump on it?
All right, bump.
Okay, fine.
So the last game that I would like to mention is a little game called Release. This game is written by a local developer. His name is Justin Fox. He's actually my
Wait.
brother.
Never heard of that guy. Never heard of that.
He does our music, so props out to Justin. So this is a really intriguing thing. This game is a Christian hip hop 2D JRPG. I know I just put a lot of words out there, but
Has there ever been anything like that though?
no, because like one of the reasons he wanted to go after this is like Christian games have a bad rep for being like too cheesy.
Noah's
about
Ark was
one thing.
amazing, man.
Noah's Ark, exactly. Like we all make immediately we can make jokes. He was focusing on not necessarily throwing like Bible in your face, but like that's the theme of what's going on is this journey to.
So it's not an undertone,
Salvation?
but it's not in your face.
Correct, and it's also, I mean, he and I grew up playing like Final Fantasy,
Oh, yeah,
Chrono Trigger,
Justice
Secret
League.
of Mana. We grew up playing.
He actually plays
Japanese
the games, unlike his brother. But
Shut
go
up.
ahead.
I play plenty of games like Final Fantasy 15. I'm in chapter 3. So he's focusing on storytelling. He's focusing on the Japanese RPG style. His engine is really cool how it works and how the battle system works. He's also doing all the music, and the music is stuff we grew up with. It is this old school hip hop R&B type flavor. Like his soundtrack, you can get the soundtrack on his website. It bumps so heavy, and like it's like he says, "Oh, Bobby, you were in." No, it's not me. I want to be my brother when I grow up. Like he started with nothing. He didn't start with any programming experience. He went with Game Maker or RPG Maker, and he built this thing, and it is a fantastic journey. So I cannot. Like, you talk about indie game development, that would be my brother, Justin
See,
Fox.
that's exactly what I think of when indie game. Your brother.
If you guys like independent games like Undertale, please comment down below. Let us know some of your favorite indie titles. Oh, like and subscribe.
I System Shane, fucking cut.
What's wrong with Stop drinking! Stop drinking! What is wrong with you?
There's no alcohol.
That's his problem. There's no alcohol.
Oh, that's true. That's no problem. I have no alcohol.
You can't function.
I can't talk without alcohol. It's like drunken monkey. Okay, that's racism. Please cut all this out.